So I'm going to talk us through CAT4 and progress tracking for CAT4. So I'm going to show just a couple of things and really what's important and try to label it and narrow it down. First and foremost, I just have an overview of our CAT4 data by grade level. And one thing that I do know that people always ask are, who are your high achievers? Do we know your high achievers? So I do break down our kids who are very below low, and then we have our also a high to very high. You can find this in your data, and it's broken down by your SAS band. So it doesn't matter if they scored very high in quantitative and you just put them in quantitative. It must be their SAS, which is their average, their overall mean average per child. Now, the national average is 100, and you want to be scoring within the average range of 89 to 111. That is what is idealistic for your class to be in that area. Above average is 112, and anything above that. And you want to be able to identify those kiddos. Those kiddos should be in your gifted and talented program. And we utilize our CAT4 to triangulate our data and say that your children who are over here should be RTI'd based upon those expectations from KHDA that you're watching them, and you have enough data if they're not RTI to prove through your triangulation that they're not. So just real quick, I'm going through just a couple of things. Now, the way that you utilize and understand CAT4 is through here with your group reports with your teachers, and it just breaks down each of the kids' scores, and here's your SAS overall. There's also another data piece that they're starting to play with, haven't played with a lot, but you have to recognize and know. And I'm trying to find it. Give me a second. Here's your projections. Is this it? Okay, where's that projection page? Mean SAS, most likely scale score if challenged. So, because we're about to get into this. Based upon your SAS, this is where your projection should be. I really don't feel like this is the right projection page. I'll open up one more to see if I can find it. Like I said, they haven't really utilized that report that much yet, but they are starting to, and I'm going to really break down what it means. We have our basic numbers to work from that with. I have a feeling this is it. Okay, so I'll go to the document that I created based off of our notes, and this is valuable and needed. This is basically a child's CAT4 score, and this is their projected score. So if your overall SAS falls over here, this is your projected score that you should be scoring in class. So if my child had a 99 on their CAT4 SAS result, the projection is that they are scoring a 70% or 72%, which means that that falls into this projection band of a C-. So one thing that I've done is I went down and did progress bands, projection bands all the way down. Please listen if you don't hear anything else to this piece. What happens is this is just your projected score. I'll go back. If I have a child who scored a 99 on their CAT4 and they actually had an 80% on their end of term or end of year assessment, and an 80% falls into this B range, that means, especially with your new students who don't have a baseline, you use CAT4 as your baseline. That means they made above progress. So when you use CAT4 as your baseline, if your kids are scoring above the projection score, that means they're scoring above progress. If they're scoring at the projection score, and that's why we use the band, they're at progress. So this really does help out your numbers a lot. One thing that I do, and I will help you go through this and train on it, is that if you turn around and always use CAT4 as a base for your new students, you will always be able to show where they are now as a progress. If you can show, like from your internal assessments, if they are standard, if they're at level, if they have the right amount of rigor, but they scored very low on their CAT4, but they scored, if they scored an 82 on their CAT4, but they scored a 65 on their exam, well, they're 672, 82, I'm sorry, is an F minus, but they're at a D plus, it is above progress. So you actually get more progression points for that. And so that is why it's very important to track your CAT4 data and to use this. I did get this from the people, the KHDA, so this is a cleared way of exactly utilizing the project band. One of the things that people do is they stop the grading system right after 60 and put all of this down as an F. I don't do that. I use the same formula all the way down, because if a child scores a 30, which is an F grade, and then the next time they take the test they score a 43, it's still an F grade, but they went from an H to a G, so they show progress. So for whoever's doing your assessment, you want to track these numbers. You want to look at the end of term, like your midterm, based off of CAT4, and then what was their midterm exam grade, and then you want to look at CAT4 and you want to look at their end of year grade. And this works especially when you're supposed to look from end of year to get your progress. Your new students must use this formula. So if you get new students, they don't have previous year data, they're being looked at off their baseline. Because our kiddos were scoring low in CAT4, we were able to show that our tests were aligned and to standard level, and we were able to show a lot of progress based upon where they're supposed to be. What we talked about is that if CAT4 projected them to be at a 65%, but our kids are scoring at 73, they're not at attainment, but they're over the progress of where they're projected to be. So therefore, we are a progressive campus. We're showing progress, we're building our students, we're closing gaps. And that is a major conversation to have, especially if you're at a campus or place where there is low attainment. So that is that information I'm trying to give you. I hope you pay attention to it, because this is why your CAT4 test results are important, so you can be able to track that.